98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.
On our Facebook page right now at facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D, you will see a video that was filmed by a lady yesterday in Clonmel in County Tipperary. The location, quite honestly, is irrelevant because what it shows is a horse lying half dead on the side of the road, having literally been run into the ground pulling a trap. The lady who recorded the video took to social media in disgust at what she had witnessed. She claims that when she pulled up outside the halting site this horse was being driven to give out to the owners of the horse, her car was pelted with rocks. I have to say, if you haven't seen this video, if you get a chance, please go onto our Facebook page and have a look, because it really will leave you shocked. She said, "I can't understand why nothing is done about animal cruelty in Ireland. Everyone talks about it and that would be it. We need action." Haywood Road in Clonmel today, I recorded this video. I hope the poor pony is dead now. This way, it will never suffer again and can run free behind the Rainbow Bridge. Stones were flying at me and my car. My car is damaged. My 11-month-old baby was inside and I told them that they didn't care. Reported to the guards. I won't hold my breath on any action being taken. Now, action is being taken by the Gardaí in County Tipperary to the point that this lady, Anita, who was to be on the programme with us today, has been advised by the Gardaí, and she's quite upset about not being able to talk to us, to be quite honest, has been advised by the Gardaí not to go on the radio because of the investigation. Anyhow, just to let you hear again, this is the audio from that video. So she's driving up along this particular road in Clonmel. She's behind a horse and trap, and then she realises something is up and she gets out of her car to have a look. And what she witnesses is an animal, literally his knees collapsing until he eventually hits the ground, and to all intents and purposes looks like he's dead.
Sake! My God! What are you doing to this horse? You f*** off! What the f***? Jesus Christ! Oh my God! Jesus, what are you? How can you do that? How? Yeah, leave the house. Yeah, leave the house to die. That's what you're doing. That's all you're doing. For f***'s sake. No, what are you doing? I'm ringing guards. I'm ringing everyone.
By the way, at this point, they are pulling the horse up off the ground by the neck in order to get it to stand again. And this horse has literally been, and I know it's an overused expression, but this horse has literally been run into the ground to the point that it collapses on the ground and looks like it's about to die. Anne Williamson is from Action of Animal Welfare Ireland. Anne, welcome to 98FM.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Good, thank you, Anne. Anne, obviously you've seen this video, you've posted this video yourselves. What is your reaction to seeing that?
What's my reaction to seeing it? Well, I'll tell you, Anita is a very brave woman, and it's probably a good thing because it's the first time that somebody has actually had a video up. I mean, this happens all the time. I mean, this is a regular occurrence all over Ireland, and it's just because it's videoed now, there's outrage, but it's happening all the time. This wasn't actually a horse, this was a Shetland pony. Mm-hmm. Tiny little thing. And they've been using them to drive around the town for the last, I'd say, years. But we've been, for the last 3 weeks, trying to stop this. We've been warning that this was going to happen. And we've been sending emails to the SPCA. We've been contacting everyone we could, the guards, everybody, and nothing's been done about it. And now you see the result. We had a demonstration last year up at the Dáil about this. We're trying to get the laws upheld. if the laws are upheld, this won't happen anymore. We've had a march in Clonmel back back there just a couple of months ago, and we had a great turnout, and we demanded that we get some kind of a horse warden in Tipperary, and we were refused. So basically, the laws are not being upheld by the authorities that are in charge. And these animals, it's ridiculous. They're all over the place, and they're being driven. They have no microchips. They have no passports for them. They shouldn't be on the road. Simple as.
Now, I know from talking to people who, ride around the roads with a horse and a trap. Now, obviously not an emaciated-looking animal like this. They will say it's tradition, it's fun, they look after their animals, but it's quite clear in the particular case that we're talking about with this video, this animal is not cared for at all, and it looked quite emaciated.
I would say if you were to do a survey on it, you might get 30% that are looking after the animals, and the other 70% aren't. So in my view, they should be all taken, every one of them.
They should be rounded up?
Rounded up and taken off them.
Now, obviously, when you talk about sulky racing, that's one thing. But this driving around or riding around the streets with a trap attached to a horse is not necessarily racing, but it's something I see myself every day in North County Dublin. It happens every day all over the country. Do you not believe that these people have a right to attach a trap to a horse to toddle around the streets?
Listen, there's no excuse for animal abuse. That's it. No excuse. I don't care who you are or what your ethnic originality is. Nobody can abuse an animal.
Okay, but I, for example, only yesterday on my way home from work, saw a horse and trap, and the horse looked extremely fit and extremely healthy and seemed quite happy to be running along the street with the trap attached to him.
Was it a horse and trap, or was it a...
It was a horse and trap, like the trap you see in that video.
But that wasn't a trap. That was a sulky.
Oh well, whatever. Yeah, but one of them. Yeah. One of them. Yeah.
And was it used as a jarvey kind of a thing, or was it used as a? What was it just?
He was just trotting along the road with the guy sitting on the back. He wasn't racing him. He wasn't running them fast. He was.
Yeah, well, fine. Yeah, well, that's fine. You'll get a few people that will do it and do it right, but I mean, the vast majority are not, and that's the sad thing about it. And they're bringing the rest of the people down.
So do you believe that you think that these horses or ponies, as in the case with this particular animal, they should be all rounded up?
I think so.
And then what happens to them?
Well, they can be rehomed, or they can be sent to sanctuaries, or they can be sent to rescues. But, I mean, you can't have them tied. Those three little ponies in question, and there's three of them in that particular area, are tied outside a halting site with no food and no water. And then every night they're used and driven around. Their little legs, they're about 8 hands high. Now, if you don't know what 8 hands high is, it's about 32 inches high. Mm. They're like a big dog. They're pulling adults around the town. And they're not able for it. Simple as that. They have little short legs. They're not meant to be trotting around the town, especially in this heat.
Okay, so
no shoes on.
Is it ponies like this then that you'd like to see being rounded up?
No, I mean, there's big horses as well, and they're in terrible condition, absolutely deplorable condition. And I mean, I've come across horses down on the road several times. I've had to cut sulkies off of horses, and they'd run away and leave them there. The amount of horses that we have seen like this is only one that's been videoed. This is happening all the time, everywhere, all over the country.
What is the difference, Anne? Sorry, because somebody's asking me to ask you. What is the difference between a sulky and a trap?
Well, a trap would be, say, something like you would see in, say, the Ring and Kerry or something, where you take a person and a little jaunt around and they just go around, amble around a kind of an area. Mm-hmm. That would be the difference. Where you could sit 3 or 4 people in it, and they've got rubber wheels on them, and they're very easy to pull. Okay,
whereas sulky is
sulky's for racing, for racing animals. And racing should be done on a track, not on the road.
Okay, well then what I saw yesterday was somebody going along the road on a sulky with a horse that looked very fit and very healthy and very well cared for. Would you like to stop him doing that?
Yes,
Yes.
if it means, stopping cruelty, yes, he can go on a track if he needs to.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. If you have an opportunity on your phone or on your computer, have a look at our Facebook page at facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. And what you will see on that page is a video. It's quite an upsetting video, actually, of a horse. There was a woman videoed all this yesterday in Clonmel in County Tipperary, and it is a horse that is literally, well, it's not even a horse, it's a pony, as Anne said, literally, and I know it's a well-worn expression, but this horse was literally run into the ground because he was on the ground. He couldn't get up off the ground. Then these people came along and tried to pull him up by the tail and by the neck in order to get him to stand again, and he couldn't because he was so exhausted. And we're asking, do you agree with Anne that all these animals should be rounded up for once and for all, and that sulky riding and sulky racing should be just done away with and not allowed? Call me on 6797 981. Anne-Marie, you're on 98FM. How are you, Anne-Marie?
Hi, I just want to talk about, obviously, the whole sulky racing thing. It's been going on for years. It's
But sorry, Anne-Marie, this isn't solely, should I say, about sulky racing. What I see around my area is just guys going around on sulkies on the back of horses. They're not racing anybody. They're just trotting around the roads of North Dublin. I see it every day. Now,
yeah, well, there's that, and there's the major breeding going on within the traveller community. There's breeding horses for this whole basically it's around money. Everything's around money. Do you know what I mean? And it's happening all the time.
But what I'm trying to understand is, where do you draw the line? The guy I saw yesterday was doing nothing for money. He was trotting around the street attached to a horse.
That was like two big laps on the back of a Shetland pony.
This one in Tipperary was, yes.
Yeah, so obviously I don't know how long they were travelling with that all day, and then the horse, just drops to the ground from exhaustion. But it's the bit I can't get past is the Gardaí turning, they just say, oh, look, listen, can't really do anything, so we're just going to leave them. Then if you also ask the Gardaí to go down to a halting site, they'll tell you, no, they won't go into a halting site. So that's the question I want to ask. And also as well, it's around the whole Department of the Department of Agriculture, with regard to them not stepping up to the plate and doing anything with regard to this. It's the fact that they're allowed to do this and just get away with it.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem shocking, although the guards seemed intent today on stopping that woman from talking to us on the radio.
Because there was a video put up on the website. But on a general basis, they don't do anything. They'll just say, no, it's too much. And then it's to do with the horse contractor. I think they're based in Wicklow. So it takes them too long to come up. So the Gardaí are standing there for hours with the horse going, we need to be off doing other things. I do blame the whole department, the Department of Agriculture, with regards to their policies. Legislation is there. It's not being enforced.
Quite clearly it's not. And, you think of those guys on that particular pony yesterday, and it's quite likely they probably passed a Garda car, or a Garda car passed them as they were going around the streets of Clonmel, and they were left at it.
It's shocking. It's been going on too. It has to stop.
And this is something you were saying that you witness on a daily basis near Darndale.
I do. I witness it on a daily basis. They're going up and down and up and down, and the bit I can't understand is that everybody just passes them and goes, "This is the norm. This is fine." Well, it's not the norm. It's not the norm to race an animal up and down the road. And I've seen them racing the animal because it's a long road. I'm not going to say the road, but I've seen them racing the animal. And it's just accepted by Irish people. That's the bit I just can't get past.
All right, we'll stay there for 1 second. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98, 0877 98 98 98. Somebody says it should not be banned, but it should be governed, and there should be funding put in place for them to have places to learn and train their horses. I mean, in theory, that all sounds great, Anne-Marie, but in practice, would they actually go and have their animals trained? It's hard to know. Marie, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Marie?
Hello, Adrian.
Marie, you found watching that video very upsetting.
Oh, Adrian, I'm just so upset after seeing that. I really, really am. I mean, there's nothing at all being done for animals. The animals have no voice, and it's up to us to look after them. That was absolutely disgraceful what happened. But I have to say, I commend that woman who took that video.
Very brave she was.
Very, congratulations to her. I'm very happy for her she done that. She had the courage. She took her own life in her own hands, getting out of her car to even do that. You know what I mean? I mean, something has to be done. Why can't the people get out and fight for the animals? I mean, they fight for everything else. The animals are just left there. Nobody seems to care about what's happening. You know, and it doesn't just go for horses, it goes for dogs as well.
No, I've given an example of something that I saw only yesterday going home, but I see regularly where we live in North County Dublin, and this is, in this case yesterday, it was a man in his 40s. He was in a sulky. He was being pulled along by the horse, but I didn't see, and this is where I wonder, where do you draw the line here? I didn't see any animal in distress. The horse looked very healthy, looked very fit, looked as happy as Larry running along the road, pulling this one man behind him. That's what I'm trying to find out. Where do you draw the line here? Where do you stop this?
There is some people that really do take care of their animals. We all know that. I mean, it's not all travellers. You've got to understand.
No, in fact, this particular guy that I saw yesterday, I happen to know for a fact that he isn't a traveller.
Yeah, so, that's what I mean. It's not all travellers. Sorry for interrupting you, Aidan. Yeah. It's not all travellers. Everything is put down to the travellers. It's not all travellers, right? I mean, I know people who do these racing things and they're not travellers. And they do take care of their horses. They do. They look after them and their ponies and whatever. I mean, you have men going around town with horses, bringing tourists around the town and everything else. You know what I mean? And they look after their horses. But it's not just horses. There's dogs. There's cats. The ill treatment has nobody any feelings anymore. There's nobody feel for animals anymore. What's gone wrong with people?
Okay, stay there for 1 second if you can, please,
Thank you.
Marie. John, you're on 98 FM. How are you, John?
How are you doing?
John, you keep road racing horses.
I do, yeah.
And what is your reaction, firstly, to that video?
Well, I think that it's sickening. I think it's sickening that some people cannot show a bit of compassion and a bit of common knowledge when a horse wobbles on a cart that they know that the horse is not right. Stop the horse, take the cart off it before it gets that far, before it hits the ground, before people start pointing the finger at everybody on sulkies on roads. That think that everybody on sulkies treat animals like that when we don't. It makes me sick now to the stomach watching that. I watched it yesterday morning. When it came on Facebook. It was only on Facebook 5 minutes and I watched it. It was shared to me in a private mail.
Yeah.
And it made me sick to my stomach. Sick.
Now, you've heard other callers saying that it is time to stop this for once and for all. That we cannot allow animals to be ridden around the streets like this. We cannot allow this sort of injury to be inflicted on animals, on a Shetland pony in this case. An outright ban on horses being run on the streets would make it very clear to all and sundry that this is not how this is not allowed anymore.
No, but Adrian, this is not how every person that treats an animal and that keeps horses, sulky racing horses, that keeps them, this is not how they treat them. So
okay, so how do you treat yours? Tell me how you treat yours.
Adrian, let me just put it across like this. Let's say the man from Wicklow raped a girl. Okay, we just put it this way, right? Does that mean that every human being has to be pointed at and go, you are a rapist?
No,
or if
obviously
a man
not.
down the road shoots a person and kills them, does that mean that everybody gets a finger pointed at them and go, you are the murderer? Is that like?
No, of course not. And
Right.
I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
that
so
not everybody.
Sorry, Adrian. Just let me finish.
Yeah, go on.
So everybody is not the same as what these animalistic little pricks are on the side of the road that leave animals like that. Everybody that keeps road horses are not the same. They're not the same. So, I mean, I do keep them. I do race them on the road. But I'm on the road at 6 o'clock in the morning, Adrian, when there's nobody on the road. And I try to get on that road and off it within 5 minutes. So the thing is done. You know, so I'm not...
Okay, let me find out, John. Let me find out from you. You say you keep sulky racing horses.
I breed them, and I had a couple of them. My father kept them. He left me a couple of them, and we breed them. Yeah.
Okay.
And we train them.
And what do you do with those horses in terms of taking them out on the roads and stuff like that?
Adrian, when I'm training them horses for a race, I will get out when I have time. Now, it doesn't necessarily I get out at 6 o'clock, but you often see me on the road at Dublin Airport there. You often see me jogging horses. I asked you to come out once or twice.
Yes,
before.
you did.
I was on the show before. I'll show you exactly how. 99% or 90% of people that keep horses have them and keep them right. We bring you to vets where we bring horses and show that the money is spent on them. We'll get you in touch with our farriers. We'll get you in touch with any aspect, any animal rights person wants to put to me. I'll get them and I'll show them either paperwork or I'll bring them to my farrier, my feed supplier or my vet.
Okay, but would you frequently take a horse out with a sulky cart attached to it and take it for a jog around the streets?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely, every day. I'll tell you why I do that every day. Because if you do that for 3 weeks, if you jog that for 3 weeks and you leave him standing in, that's not good for the horse. So a horse needs exercise. So you do more damage.
Okay, so
for
how...
a week, and because Mary next door to you goes, don't jog that horse in the road because it's disgusting. And Mary doesn't know that how much time, energy and money goes into getting these horses right. So Mary doesn't know that when you leave the horse in for a week or 2 weeks standing in the stall, that is not good for the horse.
So how do we stop the sort of abuse that we saw in Tipperary yesterday? How do we stop that ever happening again? I understand what you're saying.
I don't know how you're going to stop that. That is a minority. That is a minority of people that do that. There is people that do that. The same way there is people that rear their children not to do things and they do them anyway. You cannot how are you going to regulate something like that?
I don't know, but you by your own admission,
Adrian,
you by your own admission found it sickening.
I am sickened. I'm sick looking at that. I'm sick looking at horses going down the road when it's pitch fucking dark.
Mind the language, please, John. Please.
I'm sick looking at people that shouldn't have a package of crisps in their hand. Never mind the horse. I'm sick of that. But I'm sick of people
when an incident like this...
Sorry, Adrian, let me finish. I'm sick of people also pointing the finger at John and saying, he's a road racer, he's a scumbag, he shouldn't have a horse. Why should I not have a horse? I look after my animals, I feed them, I shoot them, I vet them. Everything is done with them to keep them. And because this fool down the road wants to do that to an animal, I should get the finger pointed at me.
Okay, so when we talk about an outright ban on horses being run around the streets with traps or sulkies, whatever, attached to them, you say this is ridiculous. You are not ill-treating your animals. You are looking after them. And the odd tow rag like these people down in Tipperary are giving the rest of you a bad name.
There's a video of that, is there?
Yes, there is.
The video is obviously there. You know the man's face. You know where the site is. You know where the place is. Go and get him.
Well, I would like to think, and in fact, from we were talking. Okay, we were talking to the lady who recorded that video earlier. She was to be on the show with us today. She's been advised by the Gardaí not to, so the Gardaí are investigating it. Emma, you're on 98FM. How are you, Emma?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you, Emma. What did you want to say on this?
Well, just like one of your previous callers, I think that lives in Fettercur, and I don't live too far away. And I see it all the time now, not to that extent, but like the travel and halting sites, they do not care for their animals. The dogs are roaming the streets. I have 2 small dogs myself, and I will not bring them out locally anymore. I have to actually put them in the car and bring them off somewhere else because I don't feel comfortable having them near the halting sites.
Okay, I have to tell you, now, yes, this incident yesterday would appear to be travellers, but it is not just travellers that have...
Oh, no, anybody can be mean to animals.
That's my point.
Oh, no, absolutely. But I have witnessed it more than 10 times, I'd say, that, like, I have those carriages going up and down my road every day, and they do not care for their animals. They are a means of money.
John,
and if they don't have the means to actually buy, like, have a home and have everything like that, how can they care for these animals? They don't.
John, you were saying earlier on that you keep road racing horses, you breed them. You breed them with what purpose in mind, and who do you sell them to if you sell them?
Well, who do I sell them to, Adrian? Well, I won't sell them to a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old, and I won't sell them to some man that cannot look after them.
But how would you know if they can look after them?
But many of them are.
Well, listen, I'll tell you now how I'd know. How I'd know is 90% of the time, who I sell my horses to, I know. I know their background. I know where they're going.
Okay.
I know how they're going to be looked after. I don't.
And you're one person.
Hang on. Sorry.
You're one person, though.
Well, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for everyone else. But I can bring you. I can bring you to 20 halting sites in Dublin where lads do keep their dogs. How was that? The dogs, because that's what you were talking about. Dogs have their dogs.
I can't bring my dogs out around my local area because of their dogs.
Your dogs should be on the lead the same way their dogs should be on the lead.
My dogs are on the lead.
The dog warden should go in and take the dogs that's walking out and go to the dogs. Well, there you go. The dog wardens are not doing their job. Yeah. You're talking about dogs. You're not talking about horses.
No, I'm talking about animals.
Animals in general. We're talking about a horse here that collapsed down in Kilkenny or Tipperary.
Oh, so if a dog isn't looked after, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's the same thing what I just said to you.
Exactly, it's the same thing.
I just explained to you. If the dog is out on the road and it belongs to the travellers, get the dog warden. That's what he's there for. That's what public service is
about. But they don't come around my area because they don't want to face them. Because they get attacked. And that's what has happened.
It's a public service.
Okay, John, how do you prevent this sort of thing, this sort of abuse? Now, you even said yourself, John.
Adrian, do you not think education is better than eradication? Do you not think that? I do. I think education is much better than eradication.
No disrespect to those particular people
it doesn't matter
in that video. You can offer...
They are not educated on looking after animals.
Russian, I don't mind what they are. But
they are not educated in looking after animals, so they shouldn't have them.
Sorry?
They are not educated in looking after animals, so they shouldn't have them.
Can I ask you, John, if you are...
Sorry, Adrian, I just want to say this. Have you... sorry, what's that girl's name?
Her name is Emma.
Okay, Emma. Have you any degrees in canine, in
No,
canine?
But I look after my animals properly.
Hang on.
I look after my animals properly.
Hang on. Okay. So you're not following what I said. I said education is better than eradication, yeah? So I said that because if you educate somebody and explain to them why this should be done, why that should be done.
But these people aren't educated in looking after a pony. They probably did kill it.
Let me ask you, John, because I'm the first to admit I know very little about horses. A Shetland pony, which is what appears to be in that video.
That wasn't a Shetland.
What was it?
That's bigger than a Shetland. That is about a 10-hand or 11-hand pony. That's
pony.
Not a Shetland pony.
So does that mean it's a young horse?
No. That means if you look at its tail, you know it's not a young horse. You know that horse is about 2.5-year-old, maybe 3-year-old.
Why is it so small then?
Because it's a pony. It's not a Shetland. A Shetland would be 26, 27 inches high, 28 inches high.
Okay, is an animal like that capable of pulling a trap around the streets?
Regardless if it's capable of, should it be allowed?
It would be. It would be able. But I mean, not for a long period of time. That animal would pull an adult for a mile maybe.
But can I just put a point across, Jeremy?
Well, I'm Adrian, but go on anyway, Emma, yeah.
Or sorry, yeah. Well, my total fixation with this is there's roads, there's traffic lights, there's everything like there's pedestrians, there's a whole lot, there's a load. When people used horses to go on the roads, there was none of that. That was back in the 1800s. We moved on.
It doesn't matter when it was.
They should not be on the road. They should not be on the road. They can. You seen that? You seen that a couple of months ago? Excuse me. You seen that a couple of months ago?
Hang on, I can't hear both. I can't hear both of you.
Was driven into a pole and died. It should not be on the road. We're not on the 1800s anymore. It should be in a field. And if you want to race it, you race it on a course.
Okay, stay there for a second. Joanne, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Joanne?
Hi.
Now, Joanne, what do you want to say on this?
Well, my daughter is a jockey, professional. And in order to be on a horse professionally, jockeying it anywhere, she has to be licensed.
Yep. Do you have a licence, John?
I have all my horses are microchipped. Do I have a licence?
That's not a licence.
Hang on,
a license to jockey a horse.
How old is your daughter? No, I'm not. This is. I'm going to put.
Well, actually, my whole family are in racing, so
all right. So
from top to bottom, all ages.
My fourth horse was when I was 9 years old.
Well, her first horse was when she was 4.
I'm 38 now. So
yeah.
That'll tell you exactly.
Listen, I agree with what you're saying. You are right in everything you say, but I do believe that you should have a license.
Yeah,
you should have a license, and then they will know who's acting out and who isn't. Who's in control of their animals and who isn't. Plus, you're racing them, so you're like gambling. So it's another form of...
I know you're saying about who's in control of a horse, but...
It's not who's in control. You should have a license.
Okay, John, let me deal with that. And I do recall speaking to you before, and I do remember you inviting me out. I didn't follow up on it, and I have to tell you, I will... now that we're in contact again. But the question is, this lady's daughter has to have a license to be a jockey. How would it work if somebody like you had to have a license to go out on the streets with a sulky trap?
My cousin's also paid.
Sorry, Joanne, let him answer. Sorry, Joanne.
Hang on. Adrian, what you're at there now is, right, fellas, a license. How much is a license going to be? Do you have to...
€3,000.
What?
€3,000. She'd be licensed for only 3 years.
€3,000. She's the license for 3 years to ride out.
Yeah.
Is that her insurance?
No. Because jockeys, 90% of them can't get insurance.
Right.
So it's only for a license. That's officially just to get on a track and race. That's it. Just to get on a track and actually race.
That's €1,000 a year. They're paying.
Yeah.
That is a
but
job
you know what though? You know what though? She knows what she's on, and she knows exactly that horse is protected.
That's not a job. Is she not a professional jockey?
Sorry, is yours not a job? You're making professional money selling and buying horses.
This is a hobby for me, love.
It doesn't matter. You're still selling and buying horses, so you're making money.
It's a hobby for me.
It's a hobby with money and gambling. It's a gambling hobby. And you're making a lot of money from it. I'm sure you're not doing it for free.
Hang on, let me find out. John, are you making... Mind the language, John. John, mind the language, seriously. John, are you making money, gambling money out of this?
Would I gamble money? I gamble on a race about €200. And I would spend getting the horse ready to that race between vet bills, feed, shavings, farrier, equine dentist. I'd spend about $2,000 or $2,500 getting the horse ready.
Johnny, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Johnny?
Hanging on.
Good. That's good to hear. Johnny, you've seen this video.
I have, yeah.
And what did you want to say?
Well, first of all, I'm not trying to defend these lads. I'm not saying that they're like very good to their horse or anything like that. I'm just saying when this woman came out with the car, she seemed to think that they were just going to leave it there to die. I just don't think they were trying to do that. I think they see this horse as a sort of tool to get on with their life. I don't think they see it as something they can just throw away so soon whenever it just passes out.
I know, but it was the way in which they were dragging it up onto its feet by its neck and by its tail.
And I said that, yeah.
Just looked extraordinarily cruel.
Oh, it is cruel, yeah. I'm not denying that at all. I'm just saying I don't think they were trying to let it there to die, which is what the woman is trying to say. And I don't imagine this is very uncommon for people to treat their livestock like this. I understand it is cruel, but I think, sure, even if your dog is being rough or whatever, you'd probably just grab it by the collar or whatever, just yank it away. I don't know if the horse isn't misbehaving or anything like that.
I know, but you wouldn't take your dog out for a run and literally run him into the ground until he collapses with the exhaustion.
No, true, yeah. But I don't think they really see animals as living creatures that need to be cared for. I think they just see them as...
But isn't that part of the problem here?
Yeah, it is.
Somebody on a completely different note. Adrian, why don't cyclists have licences? I'm convinced half of cyclists don't know the rules of the road. Cyclists are blah, blah, blah. Is that all about cyclists? Okay, it's a conversation for another day, John. Barry, you're on 98FM. How are you, Barry?
Not bad, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Barry. What did you want to say?
Adrian, I think you should throw a call there into Parby Point and see what they have to say about it.
But the reason we haven't done that, Barry, is, yes, in this particular incident, these may have been travellers, but...
Well, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, whatever. But it is not just travellers who go sulky racing and running around the roads.
I do it myself, Adrian. I do it myself.
Right. So...
I'm a friend of John's there. I'm one of the lads that holds you up in the traffic at the back of the airport. But look,
thanks.
My horse.
Thanks for that. Nick. All right, so it was one of you I passed yesterday. Barry, why... Sorry, I wouldn't expect Pavy Point to comment on one individual case that happens to involve travellers. I don't see why we should...
Because according to Pavy Point, travellers do nothing wrong, don't they not?
No, they
we do wrong to the travellers. That's what they will make you.
This protest yesterday, Barry, I was mentioning, outside Leinster House, calling for a ban on sulky racing on tracks and public roads, stand up against animal abuse. What do you say to that protest?
It'll never happen.
It'll never happen. Why not?
You have to, if you're going to ban the sulkies, you're going to have to ban all them men in Killarney that make a living out of it, that do the jabby drives around.
Is that not a bit different?
Well, how is it different? How is it different, Jeremy? Or Adrian, sorry, how is it different?
Is it not licensed? Are they not? Sorry, those lads down in Killarney, are they not licensed?
I don't know.
I think they are.
Right. Well, what's the difference of me going out on my horse with one person on the sulky as them going around with their carriages with 4 people in the carriage? What's the difference? That's
a good question. I can't argue the point with you, except that maybe they're licensed.
And another thing, Adrian, while I have you there, how many people were killed off sulkies this year? None. How many people were killed off pleasure riding carts this year? 2. Down in Killarney.
Yeah, I didn't realise that, I have to be honest.
So you see, everybody forgets about these things. I don't. I read up on all this. I know what's going on. You know?
Okay, so these people protesting outside Leinster House yesterday...
Fools is all, yeah.
All 7, 8...
You'll never get horses banned off the streets. Never.
Never?
Never.
Okay, how do we prevent something like what we witnessed in Tipperary yesterday from happening to more animals? It was...
Educate people.
Pardon me?
Educate people. Educate them.
Educate them in what? What those lads...
In looking after their animals.
But these guys didn't seem to give a shit about the animal. They didn't care.
And then they shouldn't have animals. That's down to the guards.
How do you educate people, Barry, who should know instinctively that you don't mistreat animals like that? How do you educate somebody like that?
I can't answer that question, Adrian. I can't answer that.
Because, as you know, this gives a bad name to people like you who probably look after your animals.
Yes. Well, how do you educate them? I don't know, but that's the way forward here. Do you know what I mean?
Well, stay there for 1 second. Kelly, you are also a horse owner, and you own one sulky horse.
Yeah, well, I have a few horses, one trotting horse.
Okay, and do you take that trotting horse out on the roads?
Yeah, on the road, yeah. I don't race her now. She was raced before I bought her. I've retrained her as a riding horse.
Okay,
I bring her out on the road.
You just trot around the countryside with her?
Yeah.
Now, as I was saying, this protest yesterday, which attracted shag all people by the looks of it, you believe you have a right to do that with your horse?
Yeah.
So how do we...
Why wouldn't I? Like, my kids do it as well. My children go out on their horses on the roads.
Why or how do we stop this sort of abuse that we've seen in that video?
There needs to be stricter laws and people need to be educated.
Okay, does that involve licensing? Does that mean for you to go out on the street on your horse or with your horse?
Well, I've me insurance and all. I'm fully insured. We done a charity drive from Dublin to Ballinasloe and we all had to be fully insured for it, so...
Okay, but is that the only reason you got insured?
No, well, I have a lot of horses, so I sort of need it. But, like, we're covered to be out on the road now. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what horse I bring out. It's me that's covered, so whatever horse I'm using is fine. But no, there needs to be stricter laws on it. Like, do
you think that you should have to be licensed to go out on the roads with a horse?
Yeah, but, like, as in the
so, for example,
side of it as well, like the DSPCA and other rescues and all that, they need to be doing more on their part. Like, they know where a lot of the trouble is with people keeping animals, and they refuse to go after them people. They go after people who do actually look after their animals. Because there was only a case of it last week with two people who I know, I won't name them, but they were plastered all over Facebook claiming their animals weren't getting looked after and they were going to be investigated when they actually rescue people's animals.
All right, so there should be no ban on you trotting around the streets with your horse?
No, why should there be?
Because some people aren't capable of doing it properly.
But, like, some people aren't capable of driving properly either. They're still in a second car.
But if you don't drive properly, you can be banned from driving and lose your licence. That's the point that I was trying to make to you, that maybe...
Well, you can also get a sentence. You get done for drunk driving behind a horse. There was only a case of it there a month or two ago when your man got actually sent to prison.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much indeed for your call. Maybe licensing is the answer. Maybe if you are out in a public place in control of a horse, you should have to have some sort of a licence. And if you don't, then you're in big trouble. We'll have an update on this story, particularly regarding the welfare of this particular horse, on tomorrow morning's programme.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.